I wanted to discuss, I wanted to discuss the sin of the spies, but in context with the whole book of Bamidbar. But first we have to analyze what was the sin of the spies, or we know what the sin of the spies was, but like what, and why am I speaking so much the sin of the spies? Because I had it 2 weeks in a row. I was in Israel.
I know.
And we read Parshas B'Shalach, and then I was here and we read Parshas B'Shalach
again.
Yeah, so
No.
so I'm pretty stuck on the spies, I can't seem to get past. So I'm a little bit traumatized, huh?
There was one term for to make it all together, and the term was confirmation bias. But you feel that?
The confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. Very good. I think you want that word because it's similar to your name, Bas.
Bias.
Confirmation Bas.
Yeah.
Bias is something
Huh?
In Dutch.
What does Bas mean in
bias.
no, but what does Bas mean in
No.
Oh, sorry.
Bas? Just Bas.
Sorry.
Like all for the Bas.
Like a boy.
Not a forest, not a boss.
Bas is
Just a simple Bas. Like Bas.
Yeah,
Bas. The singer.
The singer is the bass, and I'm a bass also with the singer.
Okay.
No.
And higher bass. But they didn't know it when I was born.
As long as you don't,
Bass when I was born.
Do you know the sopraan?
just don't add a turd.
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
Good.
So, all right. It's a mitzvah, by the way, to tell a few jokes before you start. You know that. Okay. So the question here is we know you don't have to. There's no obligation. If it's not funny, then I would suggest don't laugh. Okay. There's also no obligation that it has to be funny when my joke. Okay. Now, the question here really is, like, not what was the sin. We kind of know what the sin was. They came back and they spoke bad about the land, and they psyched everybody out, and they said Hashem is not going to help us, and and we're not going to be able to conquer the land. And they spoke basically a kind of apikoris, a kind of not believing in Hashem.
You talk about Jews?
I'm talking about the spies.
Talking about the grass.
The spion.
The spies.
Yeah.
The spies.
Talk about Jews.
Jews, yeah. We're talking about Jews. Yeah, we have to analyze these were definitely Jews. They were not just Jews, they were very good Jews, and they were the princes of the tribes. And and that's really the question is how such great men who were leaders of the Jewish people, how did this happen? Like how did they get there? And we even see like in the Parsha that Yeshua went to pray, but it says that he went to pray at the Kever Avos. He went to Hebron, and he prayed at the Kever Avos that he should be saved from the council of the spies, and like like he was afraid that he was going to get drawn into their whatever was pulling them into this psyche, that he was going to get pulled into it, and he had to pray that Hashem and Moshe Rabbeinu also added a yud to his name because it's that he should be protected from the pull of the spies. So there must have been something very powerful. Yeah, also in the name, but I'm saying there must have been something very powerful that was pulling the spies down. There must have been some kind of motivation that was extremely, extremely powerful, and that like they had to be very, very strong to fight it. And so, what was that? What was their mistake? Where did they go wrong? Where they seemed to be good men. So, how did they fall to this faulty? What do you people? What have you heard about this? Like what is your theory, Mr.?
The confirmation bias.
Yeah, is that what?
That's very simple.
No, but what is that the answer? Confirmation bias? What does that mean?
It means that when you are thinking about the future, let's say going to a country to spy or to look on, then you have already ideas.
Okay.
And those ideas you can't get rid of, they are confirmed by looking at it. So you're looking, your seeing is already inspired, but you
I want to. I totally agree. I want to even talk about it. I'll even bring some
Okay.
proofs from Chazal about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But why did they have those ideas to begin with? That's what I want to know.
And there's also something because you can say they were afraid to leave the country. There were many theories about it.
Okay, all right. I'm just wanted to maybe hear
It could be that they were not sure about, that they didn't believe it. Truly, sure that they were afraid to go into a fight because they had to. They were also one of the explanations. They were not very sure of themselves as leaders because they lacked something and so on. Many and you
Okay.
put that all together in confirmation bias.
That's when you have those, then you can then it goes on, right?
You can come out of it.
Yeah. So
And
I
you were afraid to fight actually also.
yeah. So the question is, all this is true. Everything that
Bias.
that Mr. Confirmation Bias said.
Comfortable.
Huh?
They were comfortable in the wilderness, in the bush. They could learn.
So now you're saying it's not a confirmation bias, it's a comfortable bias.
Yes. Yes.
You're saying they were comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were comfortable. And they didn't want.
I think all of this is true. I think all of this is true, but I want to. No, it's not but. There's no but. It's all true. It's all true. All true. All true. But I want to try to go like the big question is here: why would they be so afraid if they saw what a Kodesh Baruch, like we're talking about the Dor Deah. We're talking about a generation that witnessed themselves a Kodesh Baruch Hu do tremendous miracles for them, destroy Paro completely, drown him in the sea, do 10 plagues in Mitzrayim, then speak to them at Har Sinai. And,
Before these people.
these were the same people. These
Yeah.
were the same, these men, and they were the leaders. And it's hard to understand how they could have such doubts. How could they be so afraid? And of course, Kodesh Baruch Hu has to do miracles, and all this is true. But like, how could they get there? Like, what? Like, didn't they have Emunah in a Kodesh Baruch Hu? Didn't they see what it was? So the answer that I've seen in Sfarim is the Egel changed everything. The sin of the golden calf changed everything, because of course they, like, when they said that a Kodesh Baruch Hu can't. Doesn't mean that they thought, God forbid, that a Kodesh Baruch Hu can't. Of course, a Kodesh Baruch Hu could. But their question was more, would he? Not could he, but would he for us? Like, we know how far we've fallen. We know what we've done.
That's afterwards.
No, this is already after the Chet Egel. We're talking after the Chet Egel, right? This is after Chet Egel. Okay? And because it's before the 40 years, because the decree of the 40 years was because of the spies, but still it was after the Chet of the Egel. And the Chet of the Egel changed a lot. It changed a lot in the relationship. Okay? And that's the power of sin. The power of sin is that a person starts to doubt himself. He starts to doubt himself, like, why, like, I know who I am and I know what I've done. And so now, like, maybe I was up here, maybe a Kodesh Baruch Hu did things like there before for me, even though, let's say, I was kind of a sinner, let's say, before in Mitzrayim, we were worshiping idols, but we were slaves in Mitzrayim, we didn't, but now a Kodesh Baruch Hu took us out, did all this for us, made us free men, gave us the Torah, and then we did this? So why, like, we've kind of broken Hashem's trust, and it's stemming actually from their greatness, because someone who's on a higher level, he recognizes the power of sin.
Could we understand already?
Huh?
Could we understand already?
Yes.
What mean? Could we understand already?
Well, we got the tower.
We got the Torah.
Yeah, but could we understand it now already?
Yeah, I mean, we understood that we're in a, we have a, yeah, of course we had to study more, but you can always study more. But we understood they understood that their obligations to Kodesh Baruch Hu, their covenant with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, all that they understood, all that they understood. They understood the special relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, but they thought that perhaps that special relationship was damaged because of the Chet Ego. They couldn't believe.
Actually, you say it's Naaseven Nishma. Naaseh was there, Nishma not. A little bit.
They were, well, we lost the crown of no, we lost the crown of Nasa with the ego. We lost the crown of Nasa with the ego. Yeah, we lost that, and we get it back on Shabbat, right? But still, there was a damage, and I'm trying to say, because they were such great men, that's why they understood the power of sin. They understood how damaging the sin was, and therefore they didn't believe. They didn't believe in the great chesed of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. They didn't believe in the ability of a Kodesh. They didn't believe that a Kodesh Baruch Hu could be so kind as to forgive. You know, when the way the Yetzer Hara works, the main Yetzer Hara is not getting you to sin. Like the Yetzer Hara tells you, first of all, before you sin, he tells you, no. He says he tells you do it. It's really not a big deal. It's really a nothing. He tells you it's a real nothing. What you think a Kodesh Baruch Hu cares where they shecht on the in the neck? It's this in the part of the neck, this part of the neck. How much? It's a half, a rove. Yeah, we happen to be the daf yomi. Yeah. Okay. So do you think a Kodesh Baruch Hu really cares about all this? You know, it's Kleinigkeit things. So the Yetzer Hara belittles the sin before you do the sin, and so you do the sin, and then afterwards, the Yetzer Hara makes it really, really big. What did I do? You know, because after you've eaten your non-kosher meat, whatever, and then you're satisfied, and then you think, maybe it wasn't really kosher what I ate, and and maybe and was it really worth all this stomach ache for all this? I mean, it was good when it was a nice.
So you make.
I'm not trying to belittle the barbecue. Yes, what?
You bring a sacrifice then.
Yeah, Nachon, you bring a sacrifice, but the point is that a person feels afterwards. The Yetzer Hara makes it like so big in his eyes that I can never do tshuva. That's where he really gets you. He really gets you where I'm cast away. I can never really be close to Hashem anymore the way I was before. I'm far away. I'll never. My tshuva will never. Even if I do tshuva, it's not going to be the same.
Before.
Yeah. Then the question is, if they knew this, why did they go? Then the question is there, if they know themselves so well, why did they go? There could be other ones of those tribes who could go.
No, they didn't. They didn't know themselves that well. They didn't know themselves that well.
So you say afterwards.
This is where the confirmation bias came in. There, they started seeing things according.
Before.
No, but
That's the bias.
No. The before is that deep down inside, without being spoken, they felt they had this lingering fear that, of course, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, if he wanted to, could, but he won't. He won't. Yeah. And all those other things also, of course, they played in. Like we're more secure here in the midbar. That was all rationalization. That was all rationalization also to say it's better we stay here, because deep down they had this very deep insecurity that Hashem will not help them there. So we'll stay here. We'll keep our positions. When we go into the land of Israel, who says we'll have the same kind of, who knows, whatever. What we know, and this lingering fear of not really knowing that Hashem is really going to totally help them. And then when they went, then the confirmation bias came in. Okay, so because they felt actually small because of the sin, that's why they projected. That's the confirmation bias, where they said they came and said we were like grasshoppers. We were like grasshoppers in their eyes. So like the Sfas Emes says, like, who told them that? How do you know what you look like? Maybe you look like giants in their eyes. How do you know what you look like to them? the point is that when a person feels small, he thinks he projects that, then that's a confirmation bias. That's a that the confirmation bias creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, where what you see now, where is this hinted to? Where's to what this idea of the confirmation bias? Where do we find this?
I tell you, there's a book written about confirmation bias and people who want to become Jewish and go to the mikveh. It's a very, I don't know the title anymore, but there are rabbis who have doubt before.
Right.
And that's the confirmation bias already. Because they see somebody and actually they don't know what will going to happen and they doubt. And that's because the thinking was, why should they come? Why do they? Why
I mean, why
do they belong to us? We don't need them.
Right, and
that's the idea behind, and it comes to, and then maybe it's not good what we did, and they feel we should have.
I mean, it affects the ger.
Yeah.
It starts affecting the ger.
Yeah. So
could be.
So we should have done it because we
Well,
are guilty if they don't do that. So the sin afterwards.
What it affects the ger afterwards?
And also the
What
it affects.
it affects the rabbi afterwards?
Didn't want to do the gerim. He said, "It's too much for me. I can't take all this on myself." And he did the not right things. He doubted about it. That if it happened, he should say, "I have sinned."
I don't know. I hear.
No. There was a book written about it.
Who wrote the book about conversion?
About conversion.
About conversion.
Yeah, and going into maybe. But also with.
Okay, but it's with anything in life. It's with anything in life. It's also with education.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like this, like if the one of the reasons, for example, not to speak lashon hara, is because what you're doing is you are projecting. You're focusing on the negative someone. He feels that you're focusing on the negative in him, and that actually creates that he will act negative. So by you thinking negative about him, you're giving him a stigma, and then he will that will help him, right? Because he will feel that, and he'll confirm that, and that's a kind of cycle, a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. And so the everything they saw was a projection of that insecurity that they had because I'm saying, where did the insecurity come from? It came from the chet of the ego. Okay, now where do we see this hinted to? From the sin of the calf, the golden calf, the chauda who the chauda calf.
It's the rode koe en de gouden kalf.
The rode koe and the chauda calf, and the rode koe comes to clean up the mess of the chauda calf. Yeah, you have to be careful because my daughters are gingy. Be careful.
Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
I don't want to give them a confirmation bias that they should think that they're red heifers. They should grow up thinking they're red heifers. I don't want them to think that.
So they're very important for the
Anyhow,
future.
they can never become a Kohen.
Huh? What?
They can never become a Kohen.
They could. They can marry a Cohen. They could definitely marry Cohens. Anyway, so
Marry a Kohen, yes, but not become.
let's go on here. So the point is, where do we find this? We find it in Megillat Eicha. Okay, in Megillat Eicha, there's some chapters that are in Aleph Beit order, and there's some chapters that are not. And the reason for that is simply, huh? Why are some in alphabetical order? Like, if you want to make the whole book in alphabetical order, make the book in alphabetical order, right? Make every chapter, it begins Aleph, Eicha, and the next one is Boded, like it goes in alphabetical order. Each verse goes in alphabetical order. But some chapters are not like that, and some chapters are. Why?
There are not enough chapters for the alphabet.
No, but each chapter goes in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
So why do you make some chapters? So the point is that alphabetical order is like there's some kind of an order in his mind. Like things kind of make sense. And then sometimes the Navi is in such despair, nothing makes sense. So there's an out of order, like there's no order. So some prakim are in alphabetical order and some are not. But there's one parak that's in alphabetical order, and it happens to be talking about the verse happens to be talking about the spies, referring to the spies. And in those psukim, it puts the verse of the pay before the verse of the ayin. It takes it out of order. Like the ayin comes before the pay. But there's one verse where, and it's talking about the spies, and it puts the pay
Changes.
before the ayin. It skips the order of the letters. It skips the alphabetical order, but just moves the pay in front of the ayin. Right. And so I heard once from a shir from Ramosha Shapiro, I think he was quoting a Chazal, that it was trying to tell us that the sin of the spies was they were maktim their peh la'ayin. They spoke, and because of what they spoke, they brainwashed themselves, and therefore whatever they saw confirmed what they said, what they spoke, because they spoke in a certain way and they believed a certain thing, and that's the way they spoke, and therefore they spoke, and therefore that's what they saw. I mean, this is the problem with fake news. Okay, this is the problem with fake news. This is fake news. Fake news is like you can actually, they can make someone who's an angel look like a demon, and someone who's a demon look like an angel, the way they talk about him. And then you won't even see you, and they'll tell you what you're seeing. And you're not even seeing that, but they'll tell you this is what you're seeing. Okay? And you'll see it because you're maktim, they speak so much and they tell you so much ahead of time. By the time you get there and you see it, oh, you see, that's what it is. And that's how they manipulate everything. But this is this concept of confirmation, confirmation bias from Bas. This is what it is. And therefore, everything they saw, they saw funerals. They said it's an Eretz they saw giants. They saw everything they saw was against them. Okay, instead of seeing the good in it, because a person can see the good, the person can see the bad. There's many ways of looking at something, and the way you condition your mind beforehand is what you're going to see. Okay, that's the danger. And people live in an echo chamber. They live in an echo chamber. So where you know everybody's watching the same news, and everybody comes to shul and they talk the same news, so everybody believes the same thing, and it's just one big echo chamber. And whether it's good or whether it can be good, it can be bad, but you have to sometimes be strong and like break out of that and it's very easy to get sucked into that. It's very, 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 it's very,
How do we know what we see is true?
oh, so this is actually
Kalev, for example, didn't have that.
Kalev was strong enough
Yeah.
to know the truth.
He had a different
And he had a completely different attitude. He said, and this is actually what he was answering their question. He was actually answering their question to the Jewish people because they came back and they said, no, it's not going to, they psyched everybody out. They said, they made everybody panic. Basically, we're not going to be able to, they're too strong. Basically, they didn't believe they could. And they were speaking the truth. I mean, they weren't liars. They truly believed they're not able to because they psyched themselves into, of course, the Kodesh Baruch Hu is not going to help us. And people do the same thing with, like, let's say, learning Shas. I'll never learn Daf Yomi. It's not for me. I'm too small for that. I can never do that, right? And you do that with all sorts of things. Not for me. I can never do that. Like that's for someone who's a big man. But so a person, he belittles himself, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have to be very strong and tell yourself, no, I can do this, right? I can do this. It's very strong. Now, how? In a certain way, though, like you were mentioning to it, how can a person know? Like, how can a person? Well, so first of all, that's what Kalev told them. Kalev told them, you don't have to be the biggest tzaddikim. Since we have a covenant with Hashem, just don't rebel. That's what he said. Al timrodu, just don't rebel. That's all I'm asking from you, is don't rebel. Okay, that's number one. As long as we don't rebel against the Kodesh Baruch Hu, he's going to help us. We don't have to be the greatest tzaddikim, and we have to know that too now. By the way,
How
because we need a lot of siyata d'shmaya in the world. Klal Yisrael needs a lot of rachmanis shemayim, and believe it or not, we're not the biggest tzaddikim. But that's okay as long as we're trying to do our best. We're not trying to make machlokas. We're trying to serve Hashem the best we can. As long as we're not absolute rebels. Yeah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to keep the covenant with us. That's number one. Number two, because in a certain way, the Meraglim
That's why we have Yom Kippur.
also, but that's also part of it, by the way. But also part of the reason for Elul in Yom Kippur is to try and shed from your old self. How do you get out of your old self? By pretending to be kind of what you're not, like to pretend to be for a month a goody, yeah. And I will daven, and I will be a tzaddik, and I will do, and I won't fall asleep during the drasha of the rabbi. And
Another way to talk about it, the confrontation.
Depends.
yeah.
Bias.
Now it feels like you're faking. Okay, it feels like you're faking. But the truth is, again, it's all the Yetzer. The Yetzer wants you to believe. In other words, the real truth is Elul is your true self, and the rest of the year, the Yetzer makes you into something you're not. And what the fake, what you think is the fake self, is truly your real self, right? So hopefully you'll by practicing, you'll identify, at least you'll reconnect with who you truly are without the Yetzer. Right. So that's the true thing. Unfortunately, the Meraglim, they didn't discover, they lost face of their true self. That's what happened, and then panic set in. And once panic set in, then then there's no mind there anymore. So now the question is, how could they have known? I mean,
There's no seichel, you mean?
yeah, at a certain point, the seichel stops working. Especially if you watch CNN and BBC. Now, all right. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's many others. There's many other, like, there are many forms of lies. Okay, that can take on many forms and flavors. Okay, now, like, in a certain way, the Ksav Sofer asks a very interesting question. This I want to connect it with the rest of the book of Bamidbar. I want to kind of make a certain theme to the book of Bamidbar. It's about knowing your place, about knowing your station, about knowing your importance in your role. And the question is, l'chora, they were right. Like, they have a justification. Let's say, even if they were wrong, but they have a kind of what we call a tatztaki, a kind of excuse they could say to a Kodesh Baruch Hu and the Meraglim, right? We sin at the golden calf. Why should you help us? Like, there is something to it. There is a reason to think that way. They weren't fools, right? They really believe that, and there's what to think that way. I mean, when a person is on a high level and he really falls, it's very hard to get up. Okay, so in other words, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. That's why the Meraglim were in such danger, because they were so big. So how could they have known otherwise? What was the proof that it's not true what they were thinking? The truth is, Yisad b'nei Yisrael, et Rosh b'nei Yisrael. The parshas beforehand, the parshas Bamidbar, the parshas parshas Naso, Yisad Rosh b'nei Yisrael, right? Lefkudehem. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu counted them even after the sin of the this is what the Ksav Sofer says. He counted them after the sin of the Meraglim. He counted them, right? I'm sorry, after the sin of the golden calf. He counted them. Okay, he showed his love for them. The counting was not just the counting; it was also giving them missions, giving them importance. Raise up Bnei Israel. But the Ramban says that there are two ways to
look at it.
to understand the word raise the head of Yisrael. Raise could mean like lift up, meaning give a lofty position, give the chashivas of each one, right? But it can also mean, but with position and with being counted, when you count, then you count, meaning you have to do your job. In other words, everybody counts, right? And when you don't do your job, then you're responsible, right? If you're higher up in the army and you have a higher position, then you're going to be you're going to be held more responsible, right?
Let's just say je telt mee. Counting is telling that you are at an.
You are counting.
No, you are.
No, you are in the counting. You are in the counting.
You're worth something.
Yeah.
You're worth something. So Yisad Rosh also means Yishad Rosh means literally like we're going to hold your head accountable, meaning we can cut off your head. That's what the Rambam says. Like the king says, off with his head. So we're going to lift off. We're lifting up your heads, but it's a head count, but it's a head count, meaning if you don't count, if you don't take your responsibility properly, you can be held accountable for it, right? Yeah. So this is actually. This is what the Sofer says. This is actually the meaning of Yisad Rosh Bnei Israel. Literally, the heads of Israel, meaning the heads of the tribes, we're going to take off their heads. Why? Because they don't have an excuse for feeling inferior because of the Chet Egel. If a Kodesh Baruch Hu would not have counted them, then maybe they would have an excuse. Look, we don't count anymore. Look, we've lost our importance. But a Kodesh Baruch Hu showed that even after the Chet Egel, that they were forgiven for the sin and they were beloved in his eyes, and he counted them and he gave them positions and he showed his chavivas for them by counting them over and over and over again, even after the Chet of the Egel. So from that they should have known. That's why they're accountable. Stav Sofer says that. Yeah, very 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 nice explanation. And I also think that still today, that's the way it is. And still today, yes. And it was the reason. The reason why it's in the Torah is because all the lessons here are eternal lessons that we really need to take for ourselves. Now, there was another thing that I don't remember who said it, Yeshua or Kalev, but he said some very interesting words that the Sfas Emes talks about. He says, Lachmenuhem. And this is a very good solution also, that a person shouldn't freak out when he's challenged with a big challenge, like a nuclear Iran or something like that, or whatever, when he's challenged with things that seem overwhelming in his life, yeah, and then he starts feeling inferior. So he said to him a very interesting thing. He said, they are our bread. What a strange thing to say. But we don't have to be afraid of these nations. They are our bread. Isn't that a strange thing to say?
Well, still, what does it mean?
What does it mean? Yeah. Who's talking about bread? Who's talking about eating here? They are our bread. It is interesting because war is the same word as bread, right? Milchama is lechem. Most wars are fought over economics. Wars are fought for bread. So there is a connection between that. But what did he really mean when he what did he want to say? He said, Sar Tzilam, their shadow is not on them. So the way the Sfas Emes explains this, very, very, very interesting what he wants to say. He wants to say there's a concept. Why did a Kodesh Baruch Hu actually create the world with challenges? Why do we have a Yetzer Hara, Bichal? Like, if a Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted to give us good, so just create a world and give us good. This is what the Derech Hashem speaks about. So the Derech Hashem brings, and it's brought in the Sfarim, there's a concept called the bread of embarrassment. The bread of embarrassment. You ever heard of the bread of embarrassment? Embarrassment is busha. I don't know. Yeah. The bread of embarrassment. So, what does that have to do? What does it mean? The bread of embarrassment, that a Kodesh Baruch Hu, he wanted to give the way the Ramchal explains it, he wanted to give his good. That was the whole purpose of creation, was to give to give us good. But he couldn't just give it to us. Because if he gives us good, we don't have it. Because we have to earn it. Because if we don't earn it, it's not ours. So he didn't give it to us. There's an inherent contradiction in Hashem giving us good.
That's why.
So we have to earn it. We have to earn it. The whole purpose of everything in life, and the reason why we have a Yetzer, is to be able to earn it. And that's why there is challenge in life. There are challenges in life so that it will be lachmeinu. It won't just be lechem. It won't just be a handout, but it will be ours. And then the good that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, we can get because we got it, because we earned it, because it's our good. We have a shaykhus to it. It's something that's connected with me because I had to go through hell to get it. Yeah? And so I even had to give a share to the pensionarian, for God's sakes.
No,
I'm sorry.
lechem has a way to become lechem. We have to do a lot of avodah before to make it like lechem.
Right. But what he's
So that means if you have a challenge,
right.
that's the challenge.
That's exactly what he's saying. He's saying to them, just because it's hard, just because it looks impossible, right? Just because something looks impossible. I have an uncle, the inventor of the camera. He used to say, like, don't take a project unless it looks nearly impossible. Like, don't even begin. He has some very, very good quotes. So, just because something looks impossible, that's not a reason to shy away. Adarabba, that's a reason that we should strengthen ourselves and believe that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us a challenge, that's for our good. That's because he wants to give us something that it won't be just a handout, that it will be lachmeinu. It won't be the bread of embarrassment. It will be our bread. It won't be a handout bread. It won't be the bread of embarrassment. It will be our bread, right? And so he's trying to strengthen them that just because things look very difficult and very grim, and just because it happens to be that Israel was fighting a 7-war front, that's not a reason to shy away. That's a reason to say, no, Hashem is more with me. If Hashem gave me this test, he'll give me this Siyata D'Shmaya. The reason he gave me this test is because it's all lachmeinu. It's all in order to give us the good.
Make a very big thing to say lachmeinu and not lachmeini.
Right, lachmeinu, our bread.
But I say you don't say lachmeini. And
like the Hasidim, you mean?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? No. That's why they pronounce lanu.
Yourself has something. Lachmeini means we have something, and there's a big difference. So if on Yom Kippur we say some things about ourselves and some things about the total of
well, he was talking to the nation. He was talking to the nation. Okay.
Actually, it should be also Lachmeini, of course.
Yeah, of course. Right.
So
It is. I mean, because everybody has their personal, but this was a national test.
If it is Lachmeinu, we should do together something.
Yeah. Also, and the tefillas we daven in Lashon Rabin. Yeah, but it's the same idea because we have our personal test and then we have our national test.
I use the same.
Yeah, and so, but my point is,
What's the chilek for motorcycle?
no, 1 second. I want to just, I just want to just finish this idea.
Okay.
He says somewhere, like King David said, "Im tachaneh alai machaneh, bezos ani boteach." Right? We say it in the David Hashem Ori V'ishi in the month of Elul. I know the Dutch don't say it, but you're supposed to say it. Okay, you're supposed to say. It's supposed to be said.
Amsterdam didn't say it.
Okay.
Everyone in Holland.
The pasuk says, "Im tachanai machaneh bezos ani boteach," that Hashem will help me. Right? But the Sfas Emes says, "No, bezos ani boteach." With this itself, I trust. If I see a whole camp coming against me, if I see all the odds are coming against me, everything in life seems to be stacked up against me. Nothing seems to be going in my favor, right? That itself gives me bitachon, because I know that
Oh, yeah, that's very good.
this itself, the fact that everything seems to be coming against me, that gives me the bitachon to know that I'm going to be successful. Why? Because I know Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing this because it's lachmeni. It's in order to give that I shouldn't live with the bread of affliction. And so that's what he said to them, Sar Tzilam. In other words, that which you see their strength, really it's just a shadow. You know, they look impenetrable. Hezbollah looks like it can never be defeated. The Ayatollahs, they look like they can. They look like they can never. You know, there's no way. It's just a mirage. Why? They're only there to test you to see how strong you're going to be, and right to see how strong you're going to be. And they're not really given strength. The only strength that they're given is just for that test. That's why Kodesh Baruch Hu gives these forces of evil the appearance of strength is just to test you to see how strong you're going to be, and once you know that, then lachmenuhem, right? Then you earn the tov, and they'll just disappear like a shade, like they were never there, like you'll last like that was easy, you know that was nothing, okay. Bezrat Hashem, kach yiplu kol sonenu. So I think that's a very important lesson. And I don't know if we have to stop now, but just to connect it a little bit with the Parsha, with this week's Parsha, is this idea of knowing your place, right? And knowing your importance, you know, it can also backfire. In a certain way, we see like the contrast with Korach, not knowing his place. You know, he was complaining that, you know, he wanted the Kohen Gadol to be the Kohen Gadol. He felt belittled with the avoda that he was given. And Moshe Rabbeinu said to him, you know, Rav Lecha b'nei Levi, you have enough. You know, you have enough. And what was Moshe Rabbeinu hinting to him?
What does he mean with it?
What did he mean with that when he was saying that to him? What he was telling him was, look at the contrast between you and Aaron. Aaron didn't feel he was worthy. You see, in this way, it's a little bit different than the spies. Aaron, because of the greatness of the position, felt, am I worthy to be the Kohen Gadol? So he was embarrassed to go forward. And Moshe Rabbeinu said to him, you know, that's why you were chosen. You were chosen because you don't feel you're fitting for it. Because you don't feel that you're worthy. Here it's a not feeling worthy in a good way. You know, because
It's a difficult concept.
yeah, but here it's like knowing what does it mean to serve Hashem. Can I be worthy to serve Hashem? Right. So, and Korach is demanding. It's not enough what I have. It's not enough what I have. I demand to be the Kohen Gadol because I'm such a great man. He was proving. Not only was he not by demanding it, he was not only proving that he was not rui to be the Kohen Gadol. He was not even rui the position that he was complaining about, because it's not the position. It's who are you serving. It doesn't matter if you've got the Haftorah or you've got, I don't know, the opening for Anim Zmiros. You know, the psich of the Aron for Anim Zmiros. It doesn't matter if you're tying around the Sefer Torah or you're being the Chazan on Ne'ilah. It's who are you serving? It's all equal if Nea Kodesh Baruch Hu.
There's one term for that, Avdei Hashem.
Yeah, and no one's fitting in the Avdei Hashem. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't step forward and do it, but we have to understand anyway we're not really worthy. And it's all the chesed of Kodesh Baruch Hu anyway. Yeah, right. And so by demanding it, he was proving he wasn't eligible for it. He didn't know his place, and that's connected with everything that we've been talking about. That everything in Bamidbar has to do with knowing your place. Ishal digalov, ishal machaneu.
Actually, what you say as the result is nobody has an excuse to be an Avdei Hashem.
No one has the right to be, and no one can shy away from it either. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a nice message.
So in other words, what I'm trying to say is like this. What they thought they could be Rui, and now they think they can't be Rui. You're never Rui. You're never Rui. So because they were so great, they thought, yeah, you can be Rui, but that's a mistake. That's like Korach. You can be Rui. No one's ever Rui to be Eved Hashem. So you might as well just do it anyway, because no one's Rui. But do it with humility, but understand that really you're not Rui. It's just a chesed from a Kodesh Baruch Hu anyway. But it's not a reason to shy away, because anyway, what a Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing for us, it's not because we deserve it. It's because it's coming from his kindness. So even though sometimes we're not worthy, we don't have to feel that a Kodesh Baruch Hu is not going to help us, even though we're not worthy. Because anyway, we can't be worthy.
That's why you are a Cohen.
That's what you mean, that you're a Cohen. It's not your fault. You were born that way.
No. He can't do anything.
You know the story about this guy where he comes to America and he thinks, like no one knows me here, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell him. I'll tell the government when he asks me. I see there's no Cohen here. I'll tell him I'm a Cohen. No one knows me anyway. So unfortunately, the rabbi, he was from the old shtetl, and he recognized him, and he came over to him. He says,
He's like Mr. Cohen.
he says to him, he says, Mendel, you're not a Cohen. I know who you are. You're not a Cohen. He says, if you can be the rabbi, because I know you. If you can be the rabbi, I can be the Cohen.
Okay, Skoich. I have a new date. If you can on 26th of August, that is 13 Elul.
Yeah.
It's a Monday.
No. We go back to the Wednesday, yeah?
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
we go back to Wednesday.
But
This was
Which one was this? The
26th
Yeah.
of
August.
August.
But
After-
you can't do that. I'm leaving that day to America.
All right. So then
Yeah?
Yeah.
we have to change it then.
Okay, then we change, but
What time are you going?
I have to go in the morning, yeah.
oh, jij
I
gaat?
think you have to cancel your trip.
Kan er niks doen.
You don't have to change it, but it's definitely gonna be worth canceling your trip.
Dag na de 25.
Dus je bent bij ons.
Ik ben bij jullie, ja. Als je uitgenodigd wordt.
Ja.
Okay, this was recorded because I forgot to record.
Yeah. You get.
We'll be online, right?
Ik dacht nou,
Yes.
dan ga ik gewoon na
Thank you
de-
very much for today.
Sure.
Thank you.
We zijn voor zoek ook we zijn na Rosh Hashanah nog. Misschien ook nog, ja, dat denk ik.
Goed.
Dat is nog niet.
Fijne dag iedereen.
Dankjewel
Ik
iedereen.
heb geen
Goed gooi dus. En bye.
Ja, ze heet Nieuwson. Meijerson, ja.
Ja, kom maar.